So thank you all for joining us for the pre-camp application promotional webinar for 2022. I am Sarah Demaio. I am the Director of Peer Support Programs. I come from the disability advocacy world. I have an older brother who has a developmental disability, and I have been working at disability nonprofits for the last 20 years, but in 2020, I had a daughter who had bilateral club feet along with a variety of other developmental complications. Unfortunately, she did not survive. She passed away, but it really motivated me to take the program leadership skills that I have developed at other organizations and bring them to the Amputee Coalition. And I'm very committed to honoring her life and my role as her mom by doing the work of ensuring that no person with limb loss or limb difference goes through this journey alone. Katie Flannery on the peer support staff. She is the peer support programs, one of our peer support programs managers, and she is not going to be able to join us today. She is the project lead for the 2022 camp, but unfortunately she had a medical issue that unexpectedly came up yesterday, and she is going to be out for the next 6 weeks. So she won't be joining us today. She will hopefully, God willing, be at camp, and you'll all get to know her and I'm sure love her. She was a former counselor at the camp before joining the Amputee Coalition. She is a master trainer for their certified peer visitor program and is really looking forward to encouraging young people and youth in the Amputee Coalition network to get certified as peer visitors, and she's a lead advocate. As well as being a person with below the knee amputation related to trauma. We're going to cover a number of items today. Really, we want you all to know the what, the who, the when, the where of camp, to understand why you might want to attend, to hear from any campers or counselors or parents who are on the line. To know how to apply to camp, to give a little bit of a taste of what's coming in youth engagement in the Amputee Coalition long term, and then to have an opportunity to ask questions and get answers to your questions about applying for camp in 2022. So what is youth camp? It is a fully funded, that means free to you, any participants and or counselors or leadership leaders in training who want to attend. We pay for the housing, the food, the transportation, all expenses except for obviously what you bring and the luggage fees associated with that. It is a week-long inclusive in-person experience for diverse individuals with limb loss and limb difference to allow them to connect while team building, community building, skill building, and self-confidence building. So we are excited that over the last 2 years, we've had to do virtual camp, and now we're back in person for the 2022 Paddy Rossbach Youth Camp. And you'll see the 2022 logo on the screen there. I want to highlight that it is an inclusive space, and we really strive to have as diverse a cohort of campers, counselors, and LITs as possible, so that people can accomplish these goals of building community, learning about one another, learning about the differences and the similarities that unite us and that strengthen the community of people with limb loss and limb difference. So I want to, Colin, I think we're in a webinar format. I'm sorry that I am so frazzled because I was not planning on doing this until yesterday evening. Are there ways for people to unmute themselves or add things into a chat that's visible to
Yes.
everyone?
So we have the Q&A function, and if you guys decide to submit in that Q&A function, then we have the ability to invite you and we can see your face. If you would like to talk to us that way, it's up to you. Or we can hear from you as well.
Great. So I was wondering, I said this is an experience that is really designed to build community, build teams, build skills, and build self-confidence. And I wanted to both share what has happened in the past from my understanding, but also to hear from anyone in the audience about what they're looking for in these areas, because we are actively designing and building out the program for the 2022 camp. And so while we are looking forward to continuing to do the great work that was done between 2000 and 2019 in a live space and over the last two years in a virtual space, I would also love to hear if people in the audience have hopes, goals, desires related to any of these areas. So I want to share, as far as community building, Youth Camp has always really encouraged the participants and the counselors to connect with each other in a variety of ways. We hear frequently that one of the most powerful experiences is the opportunity to be in a space where being a person with limb loss or limb difference is normalized. Everyone in eyesight is having similar experiences, overcoming challenges that parallel your own as a young person. And so we really offer opportunities to connect both, within a cabin, with others who are in the similar age groups, but also with others who have different lived experiences than your own, coming from different parts of the country, coming from maybe having different levels or types of limb loss or limb difference. And so sharing the lived experiences that each person brings and learning, but also connecting is what Youth Camp is really all about at its core. So you can see here some pictures of our campers over the years, connecting with one another and sharing celebratory smiles and hugs through the years. So some of the things that we do to build community are having a strong identity as cabin. We'll have a counselor who has limb loss or limb difference, and leaders in training, their LITs, who facilitate conversations and fun activities within the cabins. We also have people stretching themselves and engaging in activities that require them to rely on each other and build small teams when you're canoeing or ropes climbing or playing, soccer or volleyball or softball. We see campers, LITs, and counselors have developed really wonderful bonds with one another as they build small teams. We've also heard campers say things like, I never knew I was an athlete before. Oh, I learned so much about how to handle the stress, the anxiety, the depression that I had brought to camp with me. And now I have the skills that I need to handle those things and to be a new version of myself. So it's really amazing opportunity for campers, for counselors, and for LITs to build confidence by trying out new things. We have yoga, we have wildlife walks, we have ropes courses, we have rock climbing, we have archery, we have swimming, we have, and honestly, for many attendees, some of who are coming to camp by themselves for the first time, there's a lot of self-confidence in just learning to do self-care without their typical supports around them, learning how others, seeing how others, get in and out of the pool on their own, or learning to ask for help from people who aren't your, in your nuclear family or your close support network already, builds confidence in campers and leaders. And as I mentioned, we have skill building as an element of the curriculum at camp. We are really excited this year. The camp that we're going to be at has a lot of resources for STEM. So learning about biology, in the beautiful mountains of Tennessee, with their fossil collections and their geology collections. We always have opportunities for skill building and outlets with like talent shows, with writing and journaling activities, with creative arts. So there's opportunities for campers to explore a wide range of skills that they may not have had in the past, opportunities to engage in the past, and do it in a safe, encouraging, supportive environment. So who is youth camp for? It's for youth with limb loss and limb difference, ages 10 to 17, can join us as a camper. So we are hoping to have up to 170 campers join us this year. It is also for our leaders in training. Those are individuals who are 18 or above, who are looking to grow their own skills in a leadership role. Frequently, they're people who may not have attended other types of programs like this in the past, but are looking to have that leadership development experience. And then we also have campers, also people with limb loss and limb difference, who are 20 or above, who already have some leadership experience to bring to the role. And then in addition to that, we have paid support staff. I do want to make sure everyone who's attending knows that we are committed to having not just the minimum levels of staffing ratios for campers to ensure safety and comfort, but full accessibility by, the legal requirement is for us to have, 1 to 8 or 1 to 10 staffing ratios, depending on the age bracket. But we are intending to and aiming to have a 1 to 6 ratio to make sure that people have all of the supports that they need to really fully and maximally engage in all of the programming. All of our LITs and counselors and paid staff are background checked, again, to ensure the safety of campers who are under 18. So anyone at camp who's 18 or above, we make sure that they don't have any questionable background that we would want to be careful about. Also, I wanted to share that, this has changed the lives, this experience has changed the lives of over 1,500 campers since 2000 when we held our first camp. And we continue to see growth and the diversity of our campers, and that is something that we are excited by, and we want to encourage campers who have who might be from otherwise underrepresented or minoritized communities to join us at camp. We've had campers from every single US state, the DC, the District of Columbia. We've had campers from foreign countries, Australia, Mexico, the UK, and Tunisia. And then we've had over 250 different volunteers and leaders and sponsors help us to complete the mission of camp. So camp really touches a really wide range of individuals. And I think everyone who has been touched by camp has been changed by it in a good way. Where is camp? We are so excited this year that camp is going to be in person at the Clyde Austin 4-H Center in Greenville, Tennessee. So It's a new facility to us, different than where we had been pre-pandemic. But Katie has already been in person to visit the facilities and check everything out. We've got wonderful cabins available, a really beautiful landscape to explore, a lake, a pool with a water slide. As I mentioned, a lot of science and technology resources for us to take advantage of. And of course, we've got the fire circle for us to roast marshmallows on and sing camp songs at. So it's a beautiful facility, and I think will more than meet the needs of all of the individuals who attend. They have invested heavily in accessible features, and so they have assured us that they will provide whatever we need to make sure that our campers have what they need to be independent and interdependent and fully engaged in the programming. I want to mention I've neglected the when slide, so I will just share that when is here at the bottom, July 3rd through the 10th this summer. I put a little asterisk there because for anyone who's interested in being a counselor or an LIT, you need to come 1 day early. So that would be July 2nd through the 10th. It is a very intensive week, and we give you 1 full day of training before camp starts, before the campers arrive, and to make sure that you are up to speed on everything that you need to know to have a good experience and create a good experience for the campers. So why come to camp? Well, I do want to share the video where you can hear directly from the campers. And hopefully this will work for me. If not, I will pull it up separately and just share that on screen. Apologize for the delay.
Some people talk to me like I'm not a person and I'm just an amputee. You know, they call you buddy and like you're a dog or a baby or something.
Because there's never someone back home that's just like you. Because everybody's different, but then when you're missing a limb, your difference is a lot more visible than others.
Being different apparently isn't good, and that's what children in school will try to teach you, that because you're different, you're not really worth spending the time with.
So then a lot of people have this mentality that once you lose a limb, like you basically lose your independence in your life and everything's over. But it's not whatsoever.
I've heard so many great stories about the good times that they've had here, and I really thought that I could contribute as a counselor to the good times that they're having, as well as kind of helping some of these kids, deal with their amputations and, move forward in life and just be, confident in who they are as an amputee.
This place, it feels like a second home. It feels like you belong. You're with other amputees or just someone like you.
Not only do you meet a bunch of friends, but you also learn a lot.
I came to camp when I was 10, and that was, I think, the most fun year I've ever had. I actually got to relate to people and just be myself around them. Because at home, you can't ever really be yourself.
You never have to worry about, oh, how will they react when they find out I'm missing an arm or a leg, or how will they treat me? We're all the same.
You're just in with the rest of the people and you're not really the special person, so just shove right by you.
I still was a little afraid of going into public with my amputation, but then when I went to this camp, that's when it really changed my perspective.
Having this camp here for me is just really a way to really pull out that happy person in me and block away the depressed kid I used to be.
When I first came to this camp, it completely changed my life. It really opened my mind to what I am capable of doing in my life, and I just really want to reflect that to the new campers that come to this amputee camp.
I know a lot of people are very worried about taking off their limbs, or maybe it might make them feel a bit uncomfortable. But here, like, there's legs and arms laying around everywhere. It's a very freeing feeling.
If you do end up going, then it's going to change your life and you'll want to go back every year.
Knowing that you're not alone in the world and that for a lot of these people there aren't other amputees in their town, it's just a way to tell us that it's okay to be different.
I mean, I understand till I die I'm probably gonna have children staring at me and pointing at me and asking their parents why I have no legs. Sometimes it just makes me feel much better that I'm different.
It's okay that you're an amputee, but so what if you're missing an arm or a leg? You're still you. You still have your personality. You still have your hopes and your dreams, and you should continue to chase those.
There's nothing that will hold you back. If you set your mind to it, then you're gonna do it. Really.
It's okay to just sometimes be afraid. It's okay to sometimes worry what your life is going to be like in the future. I mean, we all have dealt with this.
Welcome to the greatest show on earth, Wolverine! Hurrah!
Oh my god! Oh my god! It was squeezing me!
I feel like they've definitely helped me out, but I can't really explain how. It's just, when I think of camp, I think of like a second home.
So I wanted to hear from anyone in the audience if you had questions, responses, thoughts coming out of any of my conversation up to this point about what camp is, where it is, why you should attend, if anyone has attended before and wants to share. Otherwise, we'll move on to talking about how to apply and what you can expect from the application process. So I'm seeing some people say, great video in the chat. I haven't seen any questions come into the Q&A panel, so I'm going to move ahead. Looking forward to hearing about logistics. Okay, so logistically for applications, we opened the application process April 1st and it will close May 1st. So we really encourage you to apply today. We've already had coming up on 40 applications submitted. So a lot of people who've come in the past are eagerly looking forward to attending. So don't delay in submitting your applications. The application process does include quite a detailed assessment of not just who the camper is, and name, date, birth date, but also an assessment of their supports and accommodation needs, because we want to make sure that that camp is fully accessible to those who are attending. So we need to have a full understanding of what assistive technology or durable medical equipment individuals use on a regular basis, what they will be bringing with them to camp. We do ask, we will have some assistive technology available, but it is definitely preferred for people to bring their own, particularly wheelchairs, which are very personalized. If it is something that you use on a daily basis, please do bring it, because there's limited supply, and obviously we want to make sure that everyone is able to participate in all activities, and not have the limitations of what equipment we have on hand. We also ask about supports needs. So if an individual requires any hands-on supports for activities of daily living, eating, dressing, bathing, toileting, it's helpful for us to know that in advance so that we can plan to staff that person appropriately. And that includes campers, as well as counselors and LITs who are individuals with limb loss and limb difference. And so we understand that and fully expect that those individuals will be open with us about their supports needs as well. We're an interconnected community of individuals who provide supports to each other, but we will also bring in paid staff support for those who need personal care that kind of exceeds the capacity of our youth leaders. We also asked about transportation needs. There are several options for those who want to attend camp. You can, it is, as I said, fully funded for individuals. So from the airport to camp and then back to the airport that you would be leaving from if you are flying. So you have an option to choose, are you going to fly? And the Amputee Coalition will make the arrangements for you. We work with a wonderful travel agency who's able to do wonderful, great things in helping us get 100, 200 people from all over the country and sometimes all over the world to our camp location every year. But we need information from you about where you will be flying out of, any limitations that you have in travel with regard to times or dates. If we are going to be planning the travel for you. If it is also an option for campers to or their family members, campers, counselors, LITs, or their family members to book arrangements on their own and get reimbursed. You can get reimbursed up to $600 in flight costs for travel to and from camp. And then additionally, if you would prefer to drive, if you're not in flying distance and want to drive to camp and drop your child off yourself, say goodbye, as you drop them off and give the hugs and kisses right at the gate of camp, that is fine. We will similarly provide up to $600 worth of mileage reimbursement for travel if you're driving to or from camp. I see a question in the chat about whether AC has a travel companion for campers at each airport. We will work with the airlines to provide the supports that airlines have available. We also do try and coordinate if there are multiple campers coming out of the same airport to have them together. We do not have staff traveling to and from. It is an option for parents or family members or other support staff to fly with them, but that is at your own expense if you want to be booking an additional ticket to have that one-on-one support. I see the question about she doesn't physically need support, but hasn't flown alone. And that is part of the growing process, is doing a lot of new things that you may not have done before. And so we do work with the airports and the airlines. if and where it's possible to have drop off right at the gate. If it's a, unaccompanied minors, they can get, I forget what the term is in flights, but to have a flight personnel kind of check in with them throughout the flight to make sure that everything is okay and get them where they need to go. So we do work with our travel agent to make sure that those supports are in place. I also want to say, for those who are applying for the LIT or counselor roles at camp, we pretty much take campers on a first come, first serve basis. With anyone who we don't reject campers who are applying, but we do have we try and accept as many counselors and LITs as possible, but we will prioritize those who have the best alignment with the vision and goals of the camp and meet the needs of the campers. So we do ask for some additional kinds of application questions for the LITs and campers around what your hopes and goals are coming out of camp and your role as a camper or LIT, what experience you have in those roles in the past, what types of activities you would like to be leading, and then we ask for also your work history and references to make sure that we are able to kind of confirm that you're going to be a positive influence on all of the campers and a good role model for them as well. I see an idea in the chat that families who are all coordinating, who might be leaving from the same airport, might want to coordinate so that one parent could fly with the group of young people. And that is certainly an option. We will try and, as I said, coordinate with with everyone who's leaving from the same area to be leaving on the same flights and at similar times. I will also say frequently there will be an older, there might be, we are doing the same thing for counselors and LITs, so it certainly is a possibility that there might be a young adult, a counselor or an LIT who would be traveling, or one of the older campers, somebody who may have come before. We have people coming back year after year for, a decade when it comes from, 10 until they're, 20 years old or older. Some of them, some participants have come many times. And so you'll see a lot of lovely mentorship develop between experienced campers and new campers, regardless of the age of the campers. So those are all of the topics that I had to cover today with regard to what camp is, who it's for, where it is, when it is, why you should come, and how do you apply. But I would love to hear if there are questions in the audience about other logistics or other questions. I will be transparent. I have not been to camp. I started as the director of peer support programs with the Amputee Coalition in February of this year. So I am very much looking forward to it, but I can't share from a first person perspective of what it's like to be there myself. Is there a COVID protocol in place? Yes, the Amputee Coalition's kind of global protocol will also apply. It applies to all of our activities, both staff and volunteers and program participants in the office and in remote sites. So the same COVID protocol that we use for our staff, which is that everyone must be fully vaccinated. There is not a requirement for a booster at this point, but that could happen in the future as these things change. But right now it is a requirement that you are fully vaccinated to participate or have a negative COVID test within 72 hours of arriving on site. So we do ask for people in the application to submit their vaccination documentation. If you do not submit your vaccination documentation, we will be in touch with you within 72 hours of leaving on the to come to camp, your flight to camp or arrival at camp, to request documentation of a negative COVID test. Are there any other questions about camp? If family plans require a child to leave camp a few days early, can they still register and attend? I would say that we want campers to be able to participate in the full camp experience. And so if a person needs to leave early, we may put them on a wait list to participate. We certainly want to be accessible, but we do want to prioritize having campers who can participate for the full time. It is still worth applying. We have a short window for applications, and we have space for 170 campers. But if a participant needs to leave early, we may prioritize that space for someone who can really maximize and participate for the full week-long experience. In the past, campers who had patients drive them, who had parents drive them to camp, left camp half a day earlier than those who do not fly. Do you know if the same is going to be true? I believe we are planning on having everyone leave on the 10th, so both flights and pickup. The 10th, I believe, is Saturday, and we are going to have camp programming through that whole week until Friday. And then the airports are about an hour and a half from the camp itself. So we'll have buses that take kids, and we'll get accessible buses to take kids to camp, and then we'll have staff on site for those who are being picked up the week by drivers. Sorry, it's a Saturday, as a Sunday. So yeah, but the remains true. I think we're going to plan programming through the 9th and have all travel happen on the 10th. So there are two different, I say the question in the chat is which airport? There are two different airports. They can fly into either the one that's like the Knoxville Airport, something McGee Airport. McGee Tyson Airport, TYS, or the Tri-Cities Airport, TRI, are the airport codes. They're, I think one might be a little bit closer, but there's more of like windy roads to and from, and the other one is more highway accessible, but a little bit farther. So they both end up being about an hour to an hour and a half drive from camp. And we'll be, when we work with we'll probably just go with cost, to be honest, on who goes where to which airports. Um, Tyson, sorry, the airport names are TYS, the McGee Tyson Airport. For it's, I think you put in Knoxville Airport, that's the one that comes up, or the Tri-Cities Airport. You can copy and paste that or put it in the chat. TYS or TRI. Any other questions? I want to acknowledge our youth advisory committee members. Unfortunately, they were not able to participate today, but we have a wonderful group of experienced campers and parents and counselors who are advising us on the development of the camp program this year. We have some of them who have been coming, as I said, for a decade to camp and have great ideas for both fun activities and really important or meaningful, impactful changes that we could make to the program. We've been talking, they really want us this year to focus on connections, building connections in the community. And so we're going to be doing, again, in that STEM theme, we're going to be doing some Lego activities to like facilitate connections amongst campers. And we have 2 people who have access to 3D printers. So the campers will get to kind of design their cabin emblem and then get those 3D printed to have that as a little takeaway to remember the connections that they made. Can parents volunteer to serve that week if they don't have a limb difference? We don't have volunteers who are able-bodied and do not have limb differences or limb loss. All of the counselors and the LITs are individuals experiencing limb loss, and I think that's an important part of the experience, to really see those role models doing things that they would not maybe see in their day-to-day life as a young person. As you heard in the video, we had a lot of people, like kids, share such amazing stories about the change that makes to their own self-image and identity as a young person with limb loss or limb difference. To see young, cool teenagers and young adults who are doing things that they really admire or look up to, who are also like them, a person with limb differences. So all of the volunteers are people with limb loss, limb difference. We do, as I said, we'll have some paid staff on site who are not, because we want to make sure that we have a nurse, and we'll have orthotists and prosthetists on site to help if there are issues with durable medical devices or prosthetics, prostheses. We will, so there are some specific, if there's a need to have some paid personal care attendants to help with toileting or showering, we may have some paid personal care attendants, but we really are going to try and limit the number of that will really just be reserved for paid staff who are filling a specific role. to look into travel. Is registration time determined? Is the release from camp time determined? We do not have those dates at the moment. We will circulate those to everyone who is accepted. The plan right now is for us, we'll close registration on May 1st. And make sure that we don't have any duplicates and that we pull everyone off of any wait list that need to be pulled off the wait list and have a final cohort of campers. And we'll send out a welcome email in the middle of May 15th, 16th, in that range. Once we'll have cleaned the list, reviewed the list to make sure that it's good to go. And we will include in that a lot more details about travel departures and arrivals. I know that that's a short window for making bookings. Our travel agent also said, any later than May 15th and we'll miss some of the windows on cheap flights. So we're trying to get all of that reviewed, but we'll try and have that information out before the 15th of May. For those who are looking to book their own flights or travel arrangements. And then just so everyone on the line is aware, that will have some of sort of the basic information about the program, the dates and times where people need to arrive or depart by. But then we'll have a much more comprehensive package of material that will be disseminated in June that will include things like cabin assignments and your counselor or LIT bios that's assigned to your cabin so that you can kind of start to get to know and build confidence in the people who will be supporting your kids if they're at camp away from you. You want to know that information. So that will be available to you. But that will come in June rather than in, we need time to make cabin assignments and all of that stuff. So that will be, you'll get a camper handbook along with things like your packing list. And did you know this about Eastern Tennessee? Any other questions? Well, I thank you all for joining us today. I know that I was a little bit discombobulated at the start. I appreciate your patience. And I am sure I will personally be at camp. Katie Flannery from our team will also be at camp, as will some other staff from the Amputee Coalition. Katie is a wonderful, charismatic, caring, passionate, just a scintillating personality, sparkling. And so she will be an amazing camp leader. And I'm sorry that you weren't able to meet her today, but I hope that you got the information that you needed. If you do have any questions, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. You can reach out to me. You can also contact me through the email address that's on the camp website right now, which is camp@amputeecoalition.org. That will go to me as well. The application is on the web page as well, which is here. I'll put that in the chat so everyone has it. If you're ready to apply, and if you come up with questions an hour from now or 3 days from now, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm available and I'm interested in hearing any questions or concerns that people have. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you or your kids at camp in July. Bye.